Друзі, вітаю на каналі VERBA. It's Nika with you, and today we are talking about so-called reflexive verbs or СЯ-verbs in Ukrainian. Let's take a look at these two pictures and two examples. Я мию автомобіль, я миюся у ванні. Which of these two sentences has the reflexive verb? Of course, the second one. Я миюся у ванні. And here, postfix ся means the action that is directed to myself. That is why it's called reflexive here, right? But everything is not so simple, but at the same time, nothing scary in this topic. So let's find out. But before we begin, I'm asking you to like this video, to subscribe, and after the video to write a comment. What do you think about this lesson? Ukrainian postfix ся, or its variation ся, comes from Proto-Slavic се. It exists in all Slavic languages, but in each language it's used in its own manner. In Ukrainian, it's only used as a postfix. It means that it is an inseparable part of the verb that always is located in the very end of the verb after other suffixes or even endings. Well, in many Western or Southern Slavic languages, it could be a separate word that could stand before the verb or after the verb. In some of the Ukrainian dialects, we also have this situation, but it's not the literature language, that is why we will not discuss it today. СЯ-verbs make up about 33% from the general amount of Ukrainian verbs. Can you imagine? 1/3 part of all the verbs in Ukrainian are these СЯ-verbs. Most of these verbs could be used both with or without this postfix ся. Of course, they will have different meanings, sometimes very different. But some of them cannot exist without postfix ся. There are not so many of them, but they do not have this form without the postfix. And most importantly here, although the verbs are called reflexive, they not always indicate the action that is directed to oneself. This is very important because normally students see the name reflexive and they think that, okay, every verb with postfix ся means that the action is directed to myself. But this is not true, and we will talk about it a bit later. And now let's find out how do we change the verbs with postfix ся. But we will begin with not reflexive verb, such as любити, to love or to like. This is how we change it by conjugations in the present tense. Люблю, любиш, любить, etc. And we have the reflexive verb дивитися, to watch. Yeah, to watch. It looks the same as this verb. It has the same suffix t in the end, but it has this postfix ся additionally. And it will keep being additional. Let's see. Here we said я люблю, and here we say я дивлюся. So basically we changed the verbs in the same manner, but we added postfix ся. Then ти любиш, ти дивишся. So again, the same form of the conjugation plus postfix ся. Він любить, він дивиться. Ми любимо, ми дивимося. Ви любите, ви дивитеся. Вони люблять, вони дивляться. As you can see, the forms of these two verbs are absolutely identical, just here we add postfix ся. If you have questions about Ukrainian conjugations, you can watch my old video about conjugations. It's very detailed and I'm pretty sure it will be super useful for you. You will find the link somewhere there. And let's see how we will change these verbs in the past tense. Will there be any difference? So for любити we have любив, любила, любило, любили. So we used в, ла, ло, ли here. How will we change дивитися? Він дивився. So the same v here and postfix ся. Вона дивилася. Воно дивилося. І вони дивилися. So nothing changes. We just add postfix ся. I think it's pretty simple and these rules are very basic, so they will be useful for beginners. But here I want to pay attention to this situation. СЯ-verbs cannot have a direct object, so they cannot be transitive, so they cannot have the object, direct object, in accusative case without a preposition. It's impossible. But we have one exception. And this is the word which we just learned, дивитися. Because in some contexts it might have the direct object in accusative case. Дивитися що? Дивитися телевізор, дивитися серіали, комедію, детективи, відео, YouTube, etc., etc. So when you watch something, some show, some video, then we might use it as a transitive verb. All other verbs will never have the object in accusative case. There could be different cases, really, and we will see some of them today, but it never will be accusative without a preposition. Try to remember it. Okay, then if you take a look at some СЯ-verbs in Ukrainian, you might ask me, Nika, but we have ся and we have сю, this variation of ся. When do we use it? Let's take a look here. After some of the verbs, I used postfix сю instead of ся. So I could say я дивлюсь, ми дивимось, ви дивитесь, вона дивилась, воно дивилось, вони дивились. Why actually here? Because we may use сю, and we normally use сю, after vowels. And in these words we have vowels. While дивляться, agree, it will be very difficult to say вони дивляться. Yeah, doesn't sound right. So, of course, here we will not use сю. Basically, it follows the rules of милозвучність or euphony in Ukrainian, when we like to interchange vowels and consonants. We do not like a lot of vowels or a lot of consonants in a row. That is why in this phrase we would use postfix ся. Я дивлюся серіал, because серіал starts with a consonant. So it's better to say ся here. While in this example, it's better to use сі. Я дивлюсь оперу. Because opera starts with a vowel. But you do not have to think about it so much. You can just use postfix ся because it's more universal, and that will be it. You're absolutely good with it. Deal? Press like and let's go on. There is one more little tiny thing that I wanted to pay your attention. Verbs with ся of the first conjugation or є conjugation. In the third person singular form, they have ending or є. Вона умиває. She is washing like face of her child, for example. Так, умиває дитину. But when we make this verb reflexive, agree, it will be strange to say вона умивається. So at once to add ся here. That is why for such verbs in this form, only in this form, we add additional т. Умивається. Вона умивається. And by the way, pay attention to pronunciation. When we have this ся, we say it like long, soft т. Ця. Умивається. Подобається. Right? This is very important if you want to sound like a native. So, only for the verbs of the first conjugation, є conjugation, in the forms він, вона, воно, we add additional т before ся, because we cannot add it at once after є. No, this is a tradition. Okay, that's it for the forms. Now let's go deeper into the context of when do we use СЯ-verbs, because I told you that they could be not only reflexive, right? But of course, the first meaning of this verb are actions that are directed to oneself. So here ся plays the role of English oneself, myself, yourself, themselves, and so on. Let's compare two sentences. Олена миє собаку. So Elena is washing a dog. Yeah, so dog is her object, direct object that she is washing. So this verb is not reflexive, not ся-verb. But when we add ся to this verb, Олена миється в душі. What does it mean now? Олена миється в душі. So whom she's washing? She's washing herself, yeah? So here literally ся means herself. So oneself, herself. And by the way, this is the verb where we added also additional to, right? For she form. Олена is she form. Okay, батько одягає сина. Father is dressing his son. So, син одягається. Son is dressing himself or by himself, yeah? So he's not using anybody else's help. Барбер голить бороду клієнту. So, barber is shaving, голити means to shave, shaving the beard for the client. Or, Максим голиться щоранку. Голиться. So here is the reflexive verb that means that he's doing it himself. Yeah, he doesn't use barber's help anymore. By the way, here I will add English translations for the situation if you want to stop the video, maybe to write something down or to check the translations. But sometimes English translations may not reflect all the depths of the meanings that we use in Ukrainian, because again, the languages are quite different. That is why be attentive. Let's move on. So it was the strictly reflexive meaning of the verb. But verbs with ся could be used for the actions that are directed to each other. So then ся plays the role of this English phrase each other. What does it mean? Let's compare again. Ми зустріли батьків з потяга на вокзалі. So we met our parents from the train on the train station, right? We met them. Here the action is directed from us to our parents, but not from parents to us, right? We met them. They arrived to the station and we met them. But in this sentence, ми з батьками зустрілися у парку. What about this action? Зустрілися. We met each other in the park. So we both made efforts to make this happen, right? Then we use these verbs with ся. Я давно його не бачила його. And ми давно не бачилися. So here I highlight that I haven't seen him for a long time. While here I say that we didn't see each other for a long time. He also didn't see me. Then, матуся обіймає доньку. Обіймає is hugging, yeah? So mom is hugging her daughter. And матуся з донькою обіймаються. So they are hugging each other here. In first sentence, daughter doesn't probably hug her mom in a response, but in the second one, she does, yeah, so they are doing it at the same time. Then, these verbs could describe action that is done by kind of itself, or at least we accept it in our head as done by itself. So we do not clarify who did this action. We imagine that it was done by itself. So what do I mean? Let's see some examples. Таксист зупинив таксі біля мого будинку. So here we know who did the action. It was taxist, the driver, who stopped the taxi, the car. But we often would say таксі зупинилося біля мого будинку. And of course here we understand that it was the person behind the wheel who stopped the taxi. It didn't stop by itself, only maybe in case if it's a driverless taxi. But we still would say таксі зупинилося, like it did it kind of by itself. Or another example. Ми починаємо роботу о 9 годині. Робота починається о 9 годині. So like the work starts itself, kind of itself, at 9 a.m. Ми закінчили уроки о 2 годині. Уроки закінчилися о 2 годині. So here lessons like stopped themselves. The same as робота started itself, yeah? I hope you follow the general concept of this logic. Of course, in Ukrainian linguistics, there are even more directions of those СЯ-verbs, and each of them described very deeply, but you don't need all of it. Here are the most frequently used situations that are more than enough for you. Also, СЯ-verbs could be used for the actions that describe the inner state of an animate subject, their worries or their mood. What do I mean here? Мами завжди хвилюються за своїх дітей. Хвилюються. So it doesn't mean that they worry themselves. No, they just worry. But for this state, emotional state in Ukrainian, we use the verb with postfix ся. Because they do not worry themselves on purpose, right? They just feel worried. But we use the verb with ся in Ukrainian for this feeling. Or, я дуже пишаюся своїм бізнесом. I'm very proud of my business. Діти усміхаються частіше, ніж дорослі. So, усміхаються, smiling. Or, я здивувався, коли почув цю новину. I was surprised when I heard this news. Here are the translations if you need to check them. So, these are all the verbs that express some mood or emotional state of people, and they are used with postfix ся. Yeah, but they are not like reflexive in its pure meaning, right? Another situation, verbs with ся are used for the action that again describes some emotional or mental state of the person, but actually in those situations when this person is used in the dative case. And you know a lot of this kind of structure. The most popular among them for you probably will be мені подобається. Because мені is я in dative case, right? Мені подобається читати детективи. Or мені наснився дивний сон. Наснитися means to become to you in a dream. So, strange dream came to me in my dream. Yeah, kind of a little bit of tautology, but we use it in Ukrainian. Or, мені хочеться чорного шоколаду. By the way, interesting moment here. We say мені хочеться, and we could replace it into я хочу, not reflexive option, right? But мені хочеться, normally it is something less controllable by you. So this is just a desire that exists in your head and you can do nothing with it. It's not like rational wanting of something. You just feel like it. You could even translate it as I feel like having some black chocolate, right? So this is how we use it. And we use it with the dative case always. Мені хочеться, тобі хочеться, йому хочеться. Or мені здається, it seems to me. Я ще не чула цю пісню. Yeah, so this is how we use it. Then a little bit more advanced situation, and hello to all my more advanced viewers. So these verbs with ся, they could be used for the actions in impersonal sentences. So when we do not have a subject, and in Ukrainian we really do not have a subject. Like in English you often use it for impersonal sentences, right? In Ukrainian we omit it at all. And then we use those ся-verbs for describing very often a state of nature or some physical or mental state of a person that is not controlled by this person. Basically, our example with мені хочеться also might have gone to this category. But let's see. На дворі вже розвиднілося. Quite advanced sentence. So, на дворі outside, вже already. Розвиднітися, it means to become light. You know, when the sun is up and everything is clearly seen. That is why there is the root with in this word, in this verb. So, this is a state of nature. We do not have a subject here. This is an impersonal sentence because it doesn't have a subject. We do not see somebody who plays this role, yeah, who makes this happen. It just happens by itself, and that is why we use the verb with postfix ся, розвиднілося. Or, for example, тут добре дихається. You arrived to the forest and you breathe in this fresh, amazing air with the smell of, I don't know, some pine trees, and you say, oh, тут добре дихається. So you feel like it is breathing itself, kind of, quite good. That is why we use this postfix ся. This is something that you do not control. You just feel like here you can breathe better. Or мені найкраще працюється у кав'ярнях. In English we would say, yeah, I work better or the best in the coffee shops. I work, yeah? But in Ukrainian, this postfix ся means that you do not control it. It's something that just happens to you. You're not doing this action, like the action makes you feel this way, kind of it. So, мені найкраще працюється в кав'ярнях. I hope it makes sense. Let me know in comments. Or, for example, мені зовсім не спиться. Like, I cannot sleep at all. And this is not like that you want it or you control it. No, you just don't feel like sleeping. Мені зовсім не спиться. Yeah, and that's it. Here are the translations. You can check them, analyze better. Maybe you can suggest better translations for these sentences. Let me know in comments. And attention, please. Here are some of the verbs that are never used without postfix ся. So we said that most of them will have the form without ся, but these, they don't. So you cannot say бояти, you will say only боятися. Or сміяти, no, this verb doesn't exist, сміятися. And the same about all of them in this list. Here are the translations, you can check them out. And the last thing that I wanted to tell you regarding passive sentences, especially it's important for those of you who previously learned Russian, because there is a big difference between Ukrainian and Russian. In Ukrainian, we avoid using ся-verbs for passive structures. What do I mean? It will be incorrect to say in Ukrainian апостроф пишеться після літер Б, П, В, М, Ф. We cannot say пишеться here. It's much better to say апостроф пишемо or пишуть після літер Б, П, etc. So, if in Russian, for example, they use this postfix ся to indicate passive voice, In Ukrainian, it will be not correct to do it, and better to replace it with some active verb without postfix ся, like ми пишемо, the form of we, like we all write it after those letters, or пишуть, like they do it, like they, all the people, they do it this way. So this is active structure. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope that you learned something new today in this lesson, and if so, please give me a thumb up, please write a comment, please subscribe if you're not subscribed, because it helps my channel to grow. And I want to thank you for all your support, your likes, your reposts, your comments, and of course to those of you who support me either on Patreon or on Buy Me a Coffee or on YouTube membership, because you make me grow, like this girl in this picture. You help me to stay focused, you help me to stay inspired for creating new useful videos for you, and I really hope that they really help you. So if you want to support my channel, please check the video description, all the links are there, and I hope to see you soon, already less than in a week, on my channel. And don't forget to check out my short videos, because I have plenty of them already. See you soon, guys. Бувайте!